Well, there's been a lot of interest on the internet on the latest update from Tesla, the latest software update. I'm talking about 2019.16.2. New in that version are visualizations, lane departure, corrections, and a few other interesting things as well. So we're going to take a look at the update. I just got the notification on my phone that this software was available, and we're going to go through the install, the settings that you need to change, and then we'll take it out on the road and we'll have a look at how it performs. Has it made a difference? Is there any difference at all in Autopilot? What does auto lane correct do, and does it work? Particularly subtle nuances on Autopilot doing things more smoothly, more accurately. Interesting to see if that is borne out. So here's the review of 2019.16.2. Hopefully it comes to you pretty soon and you're able to benefit from it as well. Up at the top of the screen here, we tap on the little notification icon and it says that a software update is available. It's scheduled for 5:05, but why wait? Why not click install now? And if we double tap on this, it's going to begin immediately. If we triple click on this, it's going to begin immediately. Here we go. Starting the update. And this is the one that has the greatly improved animations. So the car on the left-hand side, it looks a whole lot improved when you're traveling. When you turn, the car turns a little. There's a lot of things that make it look real and animated, and more particularly, brake lights. When you're taking your foot off the accelerator and it goes into regen or it begins braking, what happens is that in the animation over here, the brake lights reflect onto the street surface below, and you can see it more easily. So in any case, with a charge of 400 kilometers remaining, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We're going to let this update take place, and we're not going to sit and watch it. I'll come back as soon as it finishes. In general, when the update is in progress, there can be a considerable array of sounds coming from the car. I'm seeing the headlights are just flashing now. I heard a kind of a clunk from below the body. This is all normal, and as the update progresses, I believe that it tests different parts of the installation, and so noises, lights, and a few other weird things may well happen. It does not mean the car is about to fall apart. It sounded like something related to the HVAC system. Perhaps the vents were opening and closing, or something was adjusting, but it disappeared pretty quickly. Well, the installation's been running now for about 15 minutes or so. That could be the sound of the cooling fan on the battery. Certainly the sound of a motor starting up. Almost certainly the fan relating to cooling. And it is running continuously. Winding down. The sounds are comforting if you think of them in terms of self-testing taking place, and as it installs, it verifies things. So I choose to be comforted. There was a pretty hefty noise from up front. There again. There's a strange and somewhat disconcerting message over here. Software update required. Contact Tesla service. Well, we'll see what happens when that finishes, but I don't recall seeing that before. On the other hand, I may never have looked there. Well, the message disappeared, and that's promising. I do notice that the range has dropped by 1 kilometer down to 399, which is really nothing. And with that, the software update box disappears. It should bring up an indication that the installation is complete, and it will give me the release notes on the screen. So right now, it's doing a complete system reboot. Oh, look at that. That is quite different. Update completed, checking status, close. the graphic on the left-hand side is quite different. The red is kind of luminous, and I better pull down the volume or otherwise I'm going to get hit by the copyright detection software. It looks different. And there it is. And there is the what's new in this update. So let's take a look at this here. First of all, we've got driving visualization. And of course, that's the picture on the left. And I'm not even going to read through what it does because I'm going to take you out on the road and we'll have a look at how it works in practice. And then we've got some Sentry Mode improvements. Easier to enable or disable Sentry Mode. You can see up there's a little icon up at the top, and you can just tap that when you leave your car and it will automatically go into Sentry Mode. Or you can enable it to be always on, excepting for at home, at work, and any other places you consider safe. Lane departure avoidance. You can actually set it so that even if you're not on autopilot, it can still automatically take corrective action if you leave a lane, if you start to drift out of the lane without your turn signal being on. It says here, your car will attempt corrective steering back into the driving lane if an unintended lane departure is detected when going between 25 and 90 miles an hour. Your steering wheel will also vibrate when an unintended lane departure is detected. So let's move on from that. Emergency lane departure avoidance, designed to steer your vehicle back into the driving lane if a potential collision is detected. So if it senses that a car is coming up on your right or your left and you're drifting, it will automatically correct. Apparently you don't have to be in autopilot at the time, but you do have to enable it under controls, autopilot, emergency lane departure avoidance. I think this was in the previous one, software update preference. You now have the option to receive new software updates as soon as they become available. Tap Controls, Software Update Preferences, Advanced, and that will let you do that. Swedish language support, and then we get to previous release notes on previous versions. Exciting stuff. I can't wait to try it out. I'll take you on the journey with me, and we can have a look at how everything that is listed under what they term driving visualization. We'll see how that looks on the road. So let's close the release notes. Before we get out into the road, let's configure some of the things that have been upgraded. For example, the new item on the top there is Sentry Mode, Quick Access. Tap it, Sentry is on. Tap it again, and Sentry is off. Let's go and have a look at how we can configure Sentry Mode a little bit more specifically here. Sentry Mode. Tap on the eye, and it tells us about Sentry Mode, but allows us to exclude certain areas. Let's go and try that. So Sentry Mode, turn it on, exclude home. Well, for good measure, exclude when I'm parked at work. Actually, no, I don't trust the guys there. Let's leave it on for when I'm at work. Let's go down to one of the other settings, and that was autopilot. And in particular, it is lane departure. Lane departure avoidance. Let's set it to assist. And we're going to find out what it does. It'll warn or it'll assist with corrective steering when your vehicle drifts out of the lane without your turn signal on. That's really cool. Blind spot collision warning chime. Not sure if it has been there before, but if we go and look at the notes on that, you'll hear a chime when a potential collision is detected while you are leaving a lane. Always have that on. And I think that is everything software. Oh yeah, standard software update preference, you'll get the notification on your phone. But if we set it on advanced, select advanced if you'd like Red Dragon to receive new software updates as soon as they become available. Does depend on geography, hardware, and your vehicle's configuration. But that's good. So that'll possibly get us to get the software updates a little sooner by forcing it to download. So we're taking Red Dragon out onto the road. So you can see from the visualization that it's showing that there's headlights. And it's even showing the driveway that I'm in. It doesn't show the brakes very easily. If you look at the brake lights, because the car is red, if this was a white car, may be able to see it better, but anyway, that hasn't changed too much. So let's get out into the road. So the visualization is bigger and bolder, but it's also dynamic. And if we go faster, then that actually becomes smaller and everything shrinks down to show you more of the surroundings. And there it is. So we're going to head onto the freeway and we're going to use navigate on autopilot. Visualization is subtly different. The car looks a little different. It almost looks more neon pink in color, but you can see that the headlights are on. And I'm going to brake now. Once again, you really don't see the brake lights. They're there if you're looking up close, but they're not significant. I have found, as I took it for a drive earlier, that the stop-start traffic situation is very much smoother. It comes to a slowdown and then to a stop, much more smoothly than it did before. It still seems to take a long time to pick up and to start driving after you stopped. And I do wish they would fix that, but I found when I came home in the stop-start traffic it was much better, noticeably. Our turn-off comes about 4 kilometers from here, so in the meantime we'll just keep it running. You see the motorbike on the left? There it is. So it really does do a good job of picking up motorbikes, cyclists, and even humans that are wandering around.
Otherwise known as pedestrians.
Otherwise known as pedestrians. We are indebted today to Dragon Lady, who's holding the camera. So what I noticed there was that as the lane broadened out into 2 lanes, it would usually jerk quite strongly to the left. It did it very smoothly today. And we're coming up shortly to a part where these 2 lanes merge into a single lane, and it used to jerk very significantly and quite dramatically into the middle. We're going to see what that does right now. So the merge comes just ahead. The lane ends about 50 meters from here. Oh, that was gentle. I didn't even notice it. So that's significantly different from the times before, where it would always veer to the right and get into the middle. There goes the Model X. So that's a big improvement. I didn't even feel that it was turning. It just slowly and purposefully moved in that direction. There is a setting that says that the car will automatically correct if I'm veering out of the lane. I don't want to try that if I'm going to endanger another car in an adjacent lane, but I'm going to look for a gap and see if I can let the car just wander across and see if it does automatically correct. Only problem is I can't wander out of the lane if I'm in autopilot, so let me go out of autopilot and just... it steered. That was cool. I was wandering off there as I am now. You hear that? It's telling me, Peter, keep in your lane. I'm not in autopilot, and yet it corrected twice for me. The reason it beeped the second time was it saw that car coming up behind, and it said that this is dangerous. Now I'm just going to let it wander over here. That corrected. That is magnificent. So even if you're not on autopilot, folks, you'll get that correction if you want it. I'm going to let it go back onto autopilot now as we approach our normal turn-off, and I'm going to see how smooth it is. So the traffic is slowing ahead of us, and the car is slowing down more smoothly. It always used to come up close and then pull back. It's not doing it this time around. It's actually backing off a little more smoothly in anticipation and not in response to. And there again, it moved into the middle of the lane, but it moved smoothly. Previous behavior was always jerky. Now, for some reason that's not very clear to me, when we take this turn off, it does indicate before we get to the exit ramp, and it slows down quite noticeably. So you'll look and see now that we're on 85 kilometers an hour. The car ahead of us is slowing, and in anticipation, it's braking, even though we're not within the distance it would normally follow. The turn-off is just over here, so as we get to it, let's see what happens on the screen. Oh, it's indicating already. It's slowing right down. It's turning off. Beautiful. Wow, that is a difference in behavior. It always jerked quite deliberately to the center, and here it just moved smoothly. So those, I think, are unannounced improvements to autopilot, and every single time software comes out, autopilot improves. Now we're getting onto Lynn Valley. I'm going to take it off autopilot, get into the lane first of all, and then engage it again. We actually have an emergency here. We've got to make a stop off for ice cream. When Dragon Lady has had a hard day, the answer to every question is, ice cream, please. So there she goes, making her way into our local Save On Foods. So all in all, I do love the new visualizations. When you turn, the car in the visualization turns as well. It looks attractive. I mean, I'm sure, the novelty will wear off after a few days. I did find one thing that's different. The last update I had, the cars around me were much more stable. In this version, they're often jumping around like crazy things. So 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And Janine makes her way through the cars. Only question that remains unanswered is, what flavor?
Chocolate. Dutch chocolate.
Dutch chocolate. Okay, so we're on autopilot here. This is not a freeway, but it still works on a local road. See how smoothly it slowed down. Almost every other time, it would slow down, stop completely, and I'd feel a jerk. And now, it was gracious. Now, it doesn't start up quickly enough for my liking. You see the car's already through the intersection. So that's something that I'd really like them to change. No reason the computer can't be instantaneous in accelerating away from a standstill. So it very well allowed that car to merge where the 2 lanes became 1. Even in the previous version it was pretty good, but this is hands on the wheel, yep. And it slowed down for the car that was parking on the side of the road. So what I'm interested to see here, and it seems to be doing it, it's keeping more toward the middle lane. Even though the road is wide, it knows that there are cars that are parked on the side, and it's keeping quite tightly to that middle marker. That's very good, and it's very different from the last update. So here we are, it's still hugging the center lane, and now we're going to kick out of autopilot because we're going to be arriving at home. I just want to thank you again for your support for the channel. If you've not yet subscribed and you haven't clicked the notification bell, please do that underneath. It's one easy way that you can use to support the channel that doesn't cost you a cent. And finally, we've got, what have we got? 5 days left before the 7,500 free kilometers or 5,000 free miles of supercharging if you use a referral code. When you buy a car and you cannot add it in afterwards, as you purchase, use this code. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.